Tonight on Command School, I hope you registered your Red Alert 3 beta key, Tavarish. I'll show you the never-before-played Empire of the Rising Sun faction and their insane new build mechanic. Sneak preview, they have giant transforming robots. Plus, every unit's special abilities are clutch in Red Alert 3. See how the sly Soviets use them for no good. And if you're not lucky enough to be in the beta yet, Command School honors and the tip of the week return to Kane's Wrath, patch 1.01 style. Ready the man cannons, this is Command School. You're watching Command School, I'm Greg Kasavin. For months now, I've been toiling away on various aspects of Red Alert 3, so it's great to finally bring you the lowdown here on Command School. Red Alert 3 is drastically different from Tiberium Wars, and with all due respect to Kane and company, I think you'll find that's a good thing. Micromanagement and unit counters are critical in Red Alert 3. Between a streamlined, easy-to-manage economy, a newly improved radar, and an intricate combat chain, tank spam is simply not viable. Plus, every unit has a unique special ability, from engineers to ore collectors. So when two tanks face off, it's not just a matter of who fires first, but rather who uses their abilities better. And for good measure, all three factions play completely differently, starting from the ground up with base building. Let's take a look at the never-before-seen Empire of the Rising Sun build mechanic in For Noobs Only. If you've played CNC3, or any previous CNC game for that matter, you probably recognize the Allies' basic build system in RA3. Queue a structure, pay credits, wait for it to be ready, and then place it on the map for immediate use. Of course, there are some differences. Among them, ground control is extended through command hubs and MCVs only. That means no more base creeping. The Allies also have a unique way to unlock higher tier units, but more on that in a future episode. The Allies don't have a crane structure, but don't be too upset. They're the only faction whose structures are ready to use as soon as they're deployed. And if you really want that second build queue, you can always crank out another MCV. Good luck getting enough income to keep multiple build queues cranking away all at once, though. Unlike the Allies, Soviet structures can be placed on the battlefield immediately, but once placed, Soviet structures have to build up. During this time, they're unusable yet vulnerable to attack. Soviet ground control isn't just dictated by MCVs or surveyors. It's expanded anytime a structure is placed, so the Soviets can try and creep their way across the map. Soviets also have access to a unique crane structure called the Crusher Crane, which adds another build queue, repairs vehicles, or even scraps them for credits. So, Soviet buildings need to be protected while they're built, but in exchange, they get expanding ground control, a crane, and the most straightforward access to higher tier units. Just get up to that battle lab, place her down, and bring on the APOC tanks and Kirovs. But you ain't seen nothing yet. It's time for the grand unveiling of the Empire of the Rising Sun's build mechanic. Drumroll please. The Nano Cores, or as they're affectionately known on the dev team, the Eggs. The Empire has no concept of ground control. Instead, their mobile construction vehicle cranks out these cores, which can traverse the map even over water and deploy into your building of choice wherever you want. You can grab ore mines all over the map without having to expand, or build a forward base right at your enemy's doorstep. Cores are expensive, weak, and vulnerable even when they build. But no one could get a base up and running or expand as quickly as the Empire of the Rising Sun. While we're on the subject of the Empire, did you know they have no airfield? That's not to say they have no flying units. On the contrary, many of the Rising Sun's land and sea units, and even one type of infantry, can fly. Check out this Mecha Tengu, a Tier 1 vehicle whose special ability transforms him into the Jet Tengu, an air superiority fighter. Powerful anti-air present? Then transform back into the mecha and wipe him out. The Empire has a variety of anti-air options, and some are available early on. The Defender VX is available as soon as you've placed a power plant. It deploys from a core anywhere on the map and can transform to be anti-air or anti-surface. The Striker VX, a mid-game unit, has powerful surface-to-air missiles. It can also take off to rain death from the skies in its Chopper VX form. Finally, the Sea-Wing is an Empire sub equipped with anti-air missiles, and also available mid-game. Oh, and yeah, it can transform too. You'll love taking this bad boy out against enemy infantry. Once you've got an army of these ass-kicking robots at your command, you may want to set a control group. Like CNC3, you do this by pressing the control key plus a number. But unlike CNC3, the tab key cycles through the subgroups within your selection, letting you manage their special abilities quickly and easily. All of these units switch forms by using their secondary ability, which is the F key by default. But you can also click the big button in the sidebar. Every unit in the game has one of 3 types of special abilities. Switching forms is an example of a toggle ability, and there are also targeted and instant effect abilities. Now, let's check out some devastating examples of these on the Soviet side in Casual 1. Very few abilities in Red Alert 3 cost money to use, so you'll rarely be waiting for credits before you can deploy a secondary ability or power. As a result, micromanaging your armies comes down to skill. Here are some deadly combos you can try out as the Soviets. You may already be familiar with the Bullfrog's special ability, which is to eject its passengers using the aptly named Man Cannon. The Bullfrog can hold 5 infantry and even transport them over water, so it's a great component of any balanced attack. But you can also use it defensively. Load up an engineer, 2 conscripts, and 2 flak troopers, and then safely transport them to a tech structure. Man cannon them out, and then have the engineer use its secondary ability to build a battle bunker. Place the troops inside to defend the tech structure, and then claim it with your engineer. Another great ability is that of the Terror Drone. This unit is fast and cheap, so it's a great early game scout. Try using its secondary ability, the Electrostasis Ray, on enemy ore collectors or the Empire's cores. They'll be immobilized until that Terror Drone is taken care of, effectively rendering them dead in the water. One other special ability worth noting is the Flea Jump of the Anti-Infantry Sickle unit. It's great for jumping on surprised enemy infantry, but since higher ground remains shrouded in Red Alert 3, the Sickle's jump makes it a very useful scout, too. Jump him up to a higher ground vantage point to reveal the Fog of War. If you watched Battlecast Primetime last month, you saw Chris Corey explain the new powers, which we sometimes call top secret protocols. Very hush-hush. There's no cash involved, you just spend security points to unlock better and more powerful abilities. Let's check out some allied powers in Casual 2. You get security points as time passes, and the rate increases as you kill enemy units and as your own forces fall. You can then spend these points across 3 branches of powers, with the stronger powers requiring weaker ones as prerequisites. So, do you diversify and get varying powers, or go straight down one tree to get a devastating upgraded power? That's always going to be your call. Here are some things you could buy early on as the allies. First off, there's Surveillance Sweep. Once you've purchased this power, activate it and click 2 spots on the map. Surveillance drones will fly across the entire map in the line you indicated, revealing the Fog of War as they go. It's a great early game support power to see if your opponent is attacking by land or sea. A second tier power for the allies is Surgical Strike. This calls in a precision bomber to deal significant damage to an area of the map. Try using it on a damaged Soviet super reactor and enjoy the fireworks. But what if you want to go all the way down a tree? Check out the ominous Cryogeddon, an amazing power that freezes everything in a large radius, making anything in its blast zone so brittle that even one of your peacekeepers could pop an enemy tank with just his shotgun. Just be sure to have an attack force standing by to break the ice, so to speak. Alright, so that's all the Red Alert 3 info I can give you for now, but rest assured next month's Battlecast Primetime will have loads of juicy details direct from E3. Now, let's hand it off to you, the CNC Elite, for this month's edition of Command School Honors. Seeing as how Red Alert 3 isn't actually out yet, our honors strategy tonight comes from CNC3 Kane's Wrath. Do you have your own great strat for Kane's Wrath? Just save out the replay, add a voice commentary track and telestration for extra credit, and email it over to commandschool@ea.com. Don't forget to include a summary of the strat in the body of your email. Our strategy tonight comes from Killa4716 for any GDI faction. This is a mid-game tactic, so build up your base as usual, making sure to tech to airfields. Call down a few hammerheads and load them with rocket troops, then purchase the AP ammo upgrade from a command post. These versatile attackers are now more powerful than orcas and can deal with almost any threat. While you're going to town on your enemy's forces, build at least 2 more airfields and an army of Firehawks. Just let them hang tight for now while you queue a surveyor. Okay, here comes the fun part. Call for transport on your surveyor and protect the Ox with your rocket hammerheads. Queue as many combat support airfields as you can, then land as close to your enemy's base as possible. Make sure he won't be able to take out your surveyor. Deploy the surveyor and drop 2 combat support airfields. Then select your Firehawks in groups of 4 and order them to dock at the forward airbase. Quickly target any anti-air and enemy aircraft and build up some base defenses for your forward base. At this point, you should be able to finish off your opponent pretty easily. If you're playing 2v2 online, his ally will know to build tons of anti-air. Killa recommends using sniper teams and juggernaut bombards on the second player to catch them off guard. Thank you, Killa, for the tip. Be sure to keep sending me your strategies for kicking the snot out of other players. One lucky fan will have his strategy displayed here each time. Now, before the bell rings, I've got one more set of tips for Kane's Wrath in the GameReplays.org Tip of the Week.
The Tip of the Week, brought to you by GameReplays.org.
Okay, so what's more annoying than losing all your harvesters? Not a whole lot. Maybe losing to Dave Silverman? We've all heard the cliche, the best defense is a good offense, but maybe a better motto to follow is, the best defense is the one that exists. What happens when you've just sent out your entire army, but your opponent sends in a couple of tanks to harass your harvesters? Follow these tips for situations like these and others to buy some time and save your precious moneymakers. Use buildings as cover by circling your harvester around the nearest war factory or refinery. A war factory is ideal since it will heal your harvester while it makes its loops. The building will block the attacking units from reaching your harvester while you bring in the cavalry. Shield your harvesters with cheap buildings. In a Battlecast Primetime episode a few months ago, there was a great example of shielding a base by using airfields. Build a barracks or power plant in front of your TIB field to distract your enemies. And this here is the most risky tactic, but can work in a pinch. Use another harvester to shield the one that's taking damage. Move your harvester to a war factory to get repaired. Then use another harvester at full health to draw the fire of enemy units. Once your original harvester is back to full health, swap them. Keep the microcycle going until help can arrive. Now, if you take nothing else away from this little session, just remember not to sit around waiting for your units to save your harvesters. Do something, anything, to make sure there are harvesters left to save. Oh, and there's the bell. So remember to do your homework to prepare for the release of the Red Alert 3 beta. Also, practice saving a harvester or two. They'll be sure to thank you for it later, especially come Red Alert 3. And keep sending your Kane's Wrath strats to us at commandschool@ea.com. Dev tested, player approved. For Command & Conquer TV, I'm Greg Kasavin.